everybody, Andrew here again. It is Thursday, yeah, Halloween. Happy Halloween, everyone. Got a couple of things in vape mail today, which is always a nice thing to happen. And I suppose the first thing that I need to mention is there's a guy called Michael Fox on Irish Vaping or Vaping Ireland, and probably both of them on the Facebook groups, and he's always in search of the best liquid that is out there, and this is a search which will, I'm sure, consume him for the rest of his life. But anyway, he seems to be getting fairly close in terms of some of them. So he managed to get hold of some concentrates or flavours from Denmark, I believe, and he's made them up. And he very kindly sent me to try these four here. So I can't wait to get stuck into those. And Michael, thanks very much for sending those. Now, what also came in the post today was from the UK, from a company called Vapor Caper. Great name, Vapor Caper. That's the name of the company. And it's a chap called Mark. And Mark sent me over this. So, it's a Davide tank. Great. But the difference between this and other Davide tanks, or indeed any of those, you know, tanks like Pro tanks or whatever, is this particular one takes the Aspire Atomizer heads. Now, you may have seen the video I did in the past, and certainly some of the other reviewers out there have been saying similar things to me. These heads are fantastic. They're really low maintenance. They seem to last a reasonable amount of time. You don't get leakage coming out of them. There's no big sort of trails of wicks hanging out of them. It's just basically a metal piece with a couple of holes in it, and it does its job exactly as it's meant to do. And that's that. One thing about these Aspire heads is that in reality they're not really rebuildable. I mean, you could, and in fact I've seen somebody who already has. But frankly, I mean, really, you want to have a life where you have got so much time that you're just trying to waste to even start trying to do it. Because you have to put on, it's dual coil for a start, and you have to put on little insulators on the legs, and I mean, just nightmare stuff. So they don't cost that much, these heads anyway. You know, I don't know what they are, 152, €2, something like that. In fact, Mark, I think, has said to me here, in his shop in the UK, they are £1.99 each, and a box of 5 is £8.49, so whatever the euro conversion on that is. And the actual tank is selling from him at £17.49, again, whatever the euro conversion on that is. So, here it is, looking very pretty. The box on it, just so that you can see here, it has a number of different colours on the side and a number of different ohmages. Now it's saying clear, grey, blue, green, purple, red and pink. So obviously they're going to have a number of different colours of these things. And then they've got 1.5, 1.8, 2.2 and 2.5 ohms. Now, what is in this, I've had a look at it, and the spare one, I believe, is 1.8. And this, I'm not sure what the one in the actual tank is, maybe 1.8 as well. So, that's it. The other thing it says about it is that basically it's a metal drip tip, glass tube top cover, Pyrex glass tube, which is good, means that you can put any liquid into it and you won't have any issue at all. What else? And brass base. And I would imagine that this is, you know, chrome plated brass or something. Anyhow, let's get in close, have a look at it and break it down and see how it works. So here it is. Let's take it out of the box. And that is what we are left with here. So what we have is, again, most people will know this now, this is a beauty ring, which essentially goes on to an Ego C, I'll show it to you, or a Twist, you know, one of the smaller batteries. And because those batteries, the diameter of them is narrower than this, this just basically, you know, makes it look prettier when it's going from the narrower battery up into the base of this thing here. Here's one of the Aspire heads that I was talking about, and as you can see, this is a 2-hole head, 1 hole, 2-hole there, and I think this one is a 1.8. Let's see, where is it? It's written really small. 1.8 there on that. And again, these are simplicity themselves. Simplicity in terms of how they work, how they function, not simplicity in terms of how to actually rebuild them. But again, if you look at my previous video that I did on the Aspire, you'll see what the innards of these things actually are like. So that's that. Now let's look at the actual tank itself. A little bit wet inside because I did give it a go earlier on just to see what it was like, and just need to dry it out. Okay, well, bit of weight to it. Obviously we've got glass and we've got metal, so you know it's not going to be the lightest thing in the world, but you know it feels solid enough. Drip tip. There's the drip tip that it comes with. Let's go in a little bit closer, shall we? There's the drip tip that it comes with, which you know looks pretty nice on it. Now let's see, have I got another drip tip here that I can put onto it? There wasn't one to hand, but I've got a couple now, so so there it is with that. So let's just try a couple of different ones on it. Let's see, a pink one. There it is, and fits in absolutely perfectly. So that's a pink one. Let's put in, this is a bit of a monster, that one there. Not too dissimilar to the one that was in there already. What else have we got? Here's a chunky one. You can see it there. And let's find just one final one. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put on the drip tip from a K-Fun onto it and see what that looks like. And there you go. So anyhow, all that really is that is a connection there which will take any drip tip that you can throw at it, which is great because again it means that you can just sort of, you know, you can make it your own. Now, let's put that there, just so we're not losing everything, and we'll take it apart. So first thing is this here. Now, there's the tank. The top and the bottom of this do not seem to come off. So you can see the bottom here. You've got two little holes on either side, and then you've got your central air channel there. And it's open at the top there, but that top part there is only going right through that center part there to actually come out the bottom. So to wash it, you're going to have to actually, you know, get the water in those sides there and give it a clean out. I did so earlier on and it's no problem to actually do. But again, nice and solid. We've got our logo on the side there, Any Vape Davide, as you can see there. So that's basically it. It's straightforward enough. Now, if we go down to the bottom part of it, first thing you'll see is there's the head which is in place inside. Now, what I started doing at the beginning was trying to get that out and started, you know, giving out about it to myself because, you know, there's no real way of getting at it, and because there's no knurling on the actual head, it's difficult to actually turn it. But then sort of the light bulb finally went on, and I noticed that these two pieces here are separate. So what you can do is just unscrew this here, and then that will give you complete and easy access to the head. Okay. So, that being the case, in reality, this part here doesn't really need to come away from this. This can actually stay on there. So we can screw that back on like that. Okay, and that can stay there. So the only bit that you really need to change when you're actually changing a head is to take off this knurled part. You don't need to take off this part here with the three lines on it. That can actually stay in place. Okay, so here's the base. And here's the head, and as I said, dead easy to just undo it. And this head here, let's just see if I can see. Yeah, funnily enough, in this case, this is a 2.1 ohm head that is in here. I don't know whether you can see that. Yeah, 2.1 ohm head. So it was a 2.1 ohm head in it, and as a 1.8 ohm head as a spare that it actually came with. Now, I don't know whether that's how it generally works out when these things are shipped. For me, I would always prefer a 1.8, because 1.8 sitting on a, you know, a standard eco battery, which is you know, putting out 3.7, is basically, you know, you're going to get a better vape from it. 2.1, I mean, this will work perfectly well, but you know, you just need something. You probably need a variable power or variable wattage or variable voltage mod to maybe get the most out of it. And certainly if you go any higher than that, up to the 2.5, yeah, I wouldn't be putting that on an Ego. Now they'll work, you just won't get quite as much out of them. And then looking at the bottom here, that's where it fits into. Again, you've got a seal around, you can see the little rubber seal there just to make sure there's no leaks. And then you've got your connector there, you've got air holes in the side there. And then also you've got the air scores. You see these two channels here on either side. And that just means that you can flush mount it on anything. So if it's completely flat, you can see from the side there that it's still going to be able to draw its air in from the side. Okay, so again, dead simple. So that just screws in there, and I'm going to show you how to put it all together now shortly. But before I do that, there has been a bit of an issue, and a number of people have been saying that they've had a problem with aspires now, not just the Davide here, but aspires in general on these things, on an MVP. And it seems to be that it works perfectly on all the other ones, but on the MVP, what tends to happen is that the bottom of, let's just take it off here, this point of contact here is not actually making it down to the positive post in the middle there. And if I just screw this all together now so we can have a quick look at the bottom of it, you might be able to see why. Now, you can see that that's sort of recessed slightly. So if I put it to the side there, you can't see it popping up. But it's very close. Now, for the most part, in most things, when you put that on it, it'll work absolutely fine. But there just seems to be something about, you know, the way it works and within the actual MVP, that there's an issue with that. So if you have got an MVP and you are trying to sort of sort out, you know, the contact, the fact that it's not working, the easiest thing to do is, you see this pin at the bottom here, you can just pull it out ever so slightly. I mean, I'm talking a millimeter, that's all. And it'll move quite easy, it's in a little rubber grommet there. So just pull that out ever so slightly by about a millimeter, and then that's going to be enough so that when you actually screw it into the bottom, that it's going to be poking out enough at the bottom so that it's actually going to make the contact with the positive post on your MVP. But it's literally only the MVPs that seem to be having this issue. So that's that. Now, to put the rest of it back together, we put that in, screwed it in nice and firmly. After that, what we need to do is fill the tank. And with these, and let me just put the drip tip back in. I don't need to do it at this stage, but I will do it anyway. As you can see, there's two little holes there on either side. Obviously, you want to avoid the hole in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some liquid into this. Now, I tend to use these pointy nose bottles because it makes life just so much easier. So literally all I'm doing is I'm going to slot that into one of the holes there, if you can see it. Just shove that in there, and then just put some liquid in there. You can see it filling up. Really easy to fill. That's it. No spilling, no leaking, no having to do it slowly, no having to sort of finesse the thing at all. Now I've just filled it up about halfway, but you can obviously go further than that. You can go up to pretty much the top of where that metal piece is there. And if you see it to the side there, I mean, I would, if I were you, I would go to, and I'm not sure where I can show it to you without spilling it everywhere. But you see the little part in the middle where it gets thicker at the top, this central shaft here? I wouldn't go much further than that. So that's that. We put that in. We already have our second piece in here are, you know, with the 3 sort of rings around it. So literally all we need to do now is get this into this, and that's just a simple case of just screwing it up like that. Make sure everything's nice and tight, and there we have it. The Davide tank, look at the bubbles coming up. Big bubble came up there, there's another one on the way up there. So that just means it's filling nicely at the bottom. Now, what tends to happen with these heads, and maybe I should have shown this to you beforehand, but I'll show it to you now. With these heads, they can take a little while to actually start taking the liquid in. So what I would always do, and I'm not going to do it actually with this one, but I'll basically show you. If you look inside here, you can see that there's 2 little wicks inside. Prior to actually putting it in, get some of the liquid that you're going to be loading it up with, and just literally just drop a couple of drops into the middle there. And what that does is it basically just primes it, because otherwise what you have to do is you have to wait for the liquid to actually come in through these little holes at the side, which it will, but it just takes a little while to do so. So priming it at the beginning like that it just gets it started. It just means it's going to be a little bit quicker to actually get going. So there we have it. So let's give it a vape and see what it's like. Okay, so there we are, all ready to go. Now, I showed you earlier on this beauty ring that comes with it. Here we have a normal, if I can need battery, yeah, it's working. So there we have a normal twist. And let's just pop that on there like that. So that makes that look like that. And then just screw this little baby in here on top of it, like that. Let's see if it works. And it works a treat. It works an absolute treat. Now that's Cigarillos, which I think is 50/50. And that is a 2.1 ohm coil, and it's sitting on a twist, and it's going just margin, well, I'll put it back to 4. It's going at 4. Look, it's absolutely perfect. And you know what, on a twist with the beauty ring, I think that looks pretty good, now I must say. Now let's just take it off that. And we will stick it onto something else. Let's put it onto my beloved brass Nemesis and see what it looks like on this. Let's take the first one off. Pop this on here. Now it's going to be obviously narrower than the Nemesis. And I'm just going to have to, sorry, you always have to go through this with the Nemesis. You have to get your contact right. Turn that up there, so that's now connected there. And there we go, there it is on a Nemesis. Again, it doesn't look bad. Perfect. Now, what I am going to do is now stick it onto the MVP, and I suspect what is going to happen is, because I had to screw my contact up here on the Nemesis up into make the contact here, that it's probably pushed the pin back in a little bit. So it wouldn't surprise me at all now if this doesn't work on the MVP. It's working fine on the MVP as well. So, and this is at what? 3.83, I'll put it up to 4. So what can I say really? You know, this is, I'm a huge fan of these heads, the Aspire heads, because I've just had so much grief in the past with, you know, various other things that were out there, you know, the different heads that were available. So for me, I'm just delighted that finally a head has come along that actually does what it's meant to do, and does it really well, and gives you all the flavour and all the vapour, and it just works. So, you know, the next thing was, and I think I said this at the time, you know, that what people are going to do is start coming out with tanks, you know, that are better than the standard plastic Glassomizer tanks. I'm basically putting these heads into something, you know, which are a little bit more robust and look a little better, etc. And, you know, I think Davide are the first ones to actually do that. And I have to say, you know, I find this pretty much faultless. Just stick it on a Provari here. There it is on a Provari. And again, loads of flavour. I mean, it's the same on all of them. And I'm just not wishing to labour a point, but let's just pop this on here. And there we are with a pink top. Perfect. So, as I said, this came to me, and thank you very much, Mark from Vapor Caper in the UK. His email address, or rather his web address, is wherever it is that it actually goes up there. And as I said before, he's selling them at £17.49 sterling, and then the heads he's selling at £1.99 each. Or a box of 5 for £8.49. Again, that's UK prices. So, not much more I can say other than the fact that I always liked the idea of the Pro Tank. I never got on with the Pro Tank. Now I've got a Davide tank which has got an Aspire head in it, and for me, I think that as a carry around, I think that is just the business, and I would recommend it absolutely. Pyrex glass as well, so you can put scorpion blood or whatever you want into it, or some of these cinnamon ones, or any of the ones that are known to actually break down tanks, and it's not going to break it down because this is Pyrex. So 100% for me. I absolutely love it. Thank you very much, Mark and Vapor Caper, and we'll catch you again soon. Cheers.